On the morning of July 1, 1916, the area surrounding the river Somme in northern France became the stage for one of the bloodiest days in human history. As the sun rose, thousands of British soldiers emerged from their trenches. They all marched forward with the same belief: this war will end. Today, we will win. But what awaited them was one of the greatest military disasters ever recorded. In just a few hours, 57,000 British soldiers were killed or wounded. This was the single deadliest day in British military history. And it was only the beginning. The Battle of the Somme became one of the most brutal and controversial engagements of World War I. It began on July 1, 1916, and lasted until November 18 of the same year. For 4.5 months, French and British forces tried to break through German lines. But due to strategic miscalculations, technological shortcomings, and a disregard for human life, the offensive turned into a senseless slaughter. Over 1 million soldiers were killed, wounded, or went missing. This battle etched itself into history not just through numbers, but through the human stories it left behind. On the first day of the battle, the British Army launched its assault at 7:30 a.m. For 8 days prior, they had bombarded German trenches with artillery fire. British commanders believed this would destroy German defenses. They were wrong. The Germans had dug deep, reinforced bunkers with concrete, and waited. When the British soldiers climbed out of their trenches, German machine guns were already aimed and ready. One British soldier wrote in his diary, "We left the trench. We were walking. Not even running. That was the order." Suddenly, the man next to me dropped. Then another. Then another. It was as if the sky itself was punishing us. This soldier miraculously survived. But he could never forget what he had witnessed that day. The Battle of the Somme saw the first use of tanks in warfare. But these early machines were slow, fragile, and often broke down. While military technology had advanced, tactics remained stuck in the 19th century. Soldiers were ordered to march across open fields, completely exposed to machine gun fire. It was a massacre that revealed the brutal face of modern warfare. After the battle, soldiers who returned to the area were unable to describe what they saw. A French soldier wrote, "The color of the earth had changed. It was no longer brown, it was red. Every step revealed a body, every crater held a friend. Even the silence was terrifying." Another soldier described the trenches: mud, blood, and gas. The trenches had become graves. We couldn't sleep. Even in our dreams, we heard the machine guns. The Battle of the Somme didn't just scar the soldiers, it scarred entire societies. In Britain, nearly every family lost someone. The population of young men plummeted. Women were forced to enter the workforce in large numbers. The very structure of society changed. The psychological impact of the war echoed for generations. The "lost generation," as they came to be known, expressed their trauma through art, literature, and music. The man behind the battle plan, British General Douglas Haig, was heavily criticized after the war. His strategies led to the deaths of hundreds of thousands. Yet he insisted, these sacrifices were necessary for victory. Historians still debate Haig's legacy. Some call him a hero. Others, a butcher. The Germans suffered heavily too. Their soldiers endured weeks of relentless shelling. A German officer later wrote, "The ground shook. We couldn't sleep. We couldn't eat. We were just trying to survive." But every day, another friend was gone. For both sides, the Somme was hell on earth. After the Somme, the nature of warfare changed forever. Battles were no longer won by bravery alone, but by technology and strategy. Human life became a statistic. The Somme showed just how devastating modern war could be. And it forced humanity to begin understanding the true cost of conflict. Today, the Somme region is dotted with hundreds of cemeteries. Each grave is a reminder of a life lost. Visitors walk among them in silence. Because here, the bloodiest day in history unfolded. And it must never be forgotten. One British veteran, many years later, said, "That day, I didn't just lose my friends, I lost my faith in humanity. But then, I saw a French child smile at me. Maybe there was still hope." His words remind us that even after the darkest days, humanity can rise again. The bloodiest day in history was not just a battle, it was a test of our humanity. And in that test, millions perished. But their stories live on. Because history doesn't just shape our past, it shapes our future. In this video, we've explored one of the darkest days in human history. But even in darkness, we find the value of light. Peace is never easily won. And every peaceful day we live is a tribute to the lives lost at the Somme. What do you think was the bloodiest day in history? Share your thoughts in the comments. And remember, knowing history is the first step to protecting the future.